Welcome back, Rover fans. Time to address the grubby rear axle. There are a few things I want to do. Number one is to clean everything up. This will be repainted in the Jotun. This will just be cleaned up to bare alley, as will the rear cover. I've got a new set of seals for the axle, those being the outer seals at either end of the tubes, new pinion seal, and I've also got a new seal for that, I believe, coming. It hasn't arrived yet, so I'll need to check. But first things first is to get this out here, set up on some axle stands so that it's nicely supported and I can get to all of it with a grinder and a wire wheel and start cleaning the worst of the muck off. Then I can flip it upside down, take the rear cover off, clean out the inside, and then I'll also try and get the half shafts out so that I can change the bushing, the seals. That's worked pretty well. It's quite nicely balanced, so I can rotate it where I need it, when I need it, and do stuff. Gotta go and get my angle grinder with a wire cup on it, some degreaser, and a chisel, I think. The grease and grub has done quite a good job of keeping bits of this rust free. There's even fresh metal under there. This must have been painted originally black, but they didn't do much in the way of priming, I don't think. Bit of underseal wax on there as well. This axle, I'm quite lucky because the trailing arm cups haven't rusted away. These sort of pressed washers can, they're just spot welded on there to that flange, but they can rust and dissolve, and Rimmer Brothers make new, or provide new ones, but each one of them, I think from Rimmer's, is like 14 quid. So if you don't have to replace them, then that is good. But I will continue cleaning. I was going to get the GoPro out and blah blah blah, but who really cares? It's just me scraping it shite, so I'll just report back when we've unearthed and degreased the case. That is first go. Looks good. I'm going to go and get the engine degunker. Look, here we go, Spitfire. Please focus. The camera doesn't always like it. I had to zoom out because the camera lost focus. That's super cool. I love the fact that that just randomly flies over on beautiful sunny spring days. Yes, so I'm going to go grab my power washer and some engine degreaser and degrease the pumpkin a little bit more. I will also do the torque tube extension at the same time, because I'm just going to flick crap everywhere if I try and do it with the sander grinder thing. That is the forward bush. Sometimes they're perished and split and horrible. That one, remarkably, looks quite good. So I may not even bother replacing that. I don't know yet. We'll have a think later on. And then the other bit to clean up is the cross member. This also is gooped up, so I shall go and get some cleaner on that, leave it to warm up in the sun, and then we can give that a good spraying. Watts linkage, I've got, yeah, I'll do that as well. Is that bent? It's not good if that's bent. Balls, yeah, that's bent. We'll have to replace that one, which is annoying. They have these weird rivet bolts. It might be that I have to put a whole new Watts linkage on, I don't know, or drill that one out and put the conventional nut and bolt through. so that's not good. I've got brand new fork arms coming, and I've got some decent spare trailing arms to fit, because one of them is bent and the other one is okay, but I might as well just put two newer ones on. Right, go get pressure washer. So I've laid the bits out in the sun. I'm using this engine degreaser, which you're supposed to put on after the engine is warm. So I was hoping the sun would warm it up, but there's a bit of a breeze, so I'm not sure that's going to work. So instead I've got some MAP gas, and we'll just pre-warm some of these areas with a bit of naked flame. Spitfire again. Awesome. Got a bit of a surprise when I first started spraying this. I didn't realise it comes out like snow foam or something. They're all a bit strange. Whether it's a gimmick or whether it actually lifts dirt like snow foam is supposed to, I don't know, but as long as it degreases, that's the main thing. I've got 5 litres of panel wipe as well, which I'll use on this, and then I'll use some Hydra 80 or Deoxy or Deox gel to get some of the other bits off. Rust, I mean, not grease. I'm not doing the underside there because that whole cover will come off, and I'll do that separately. It says to leave it for a while, so I think I shall do that, and I'll now turn my attention to these ones. Foaming done. You might be wondering why I'm doing it out here on this lovely, beautiful grassy area. This lovely grassy area was in fact the site of a massive bonfire, and all sorts of crap got burnt here, so it's recovered quite well. I figured it's used to recovering, so a bit of oil shouldn't be too bad. Plus this stuff. Highly flammable. It doesn't actually say that it's poisonous. It does not contain CFCs, so hopefully it's not too bad for the environment. Now the bit I've been looking forward to, power wash time. See what it actually does. Not a lot. Why did I think that this would be a wonder product? I think this is just going to be more me with a scraper brush than it is the power washer. I think it's just too well ingrained dirt, but it was worth a go. Might as well clean it all off anyway. Need that. Don't go away. given that lot a second coat, rubbed the rough areas with Brillo and my old brush, which is now very worse for wear. Also pulled out a new subframe, front subframe on the car. This pad is completely destroyed and all of that has been ripped rearwards, probably by a forklift truck again. The subframe is the same on the diesel as another petrol one, but on the diesel, between the subframe and the mounting points to the underside of the chassis rails, it's spaced down because the engine is that bit taller. Otherwise, they're identical. And this is what I mean about the old one being ruined. That round cup would have gone there. It's completely ripped off. So either it hit a speed bump hard, but given when this car came off the road, I doubt there were speed bumps around then. So I think it's just more forklift attack, which is what did the sills, did the floor. Basically, this car was not looked after. Next job, buzz off the rear cover and drain the contents. I love impact guns, they have changed my life. Big reveal time. Actually, this may not be a live camera moment because I might need two hands. There's two dowels holding it in, one there, and they do leave you this little stub that you can knock on. But yeah, this might be a double-handed job. You know what? I'm quite impressed with that. This car, 50 odd thousand miles, but never been serviced really. That oil looks really nice. So that does two things. One, bodes well for the mileage being correct, which I'm sure it was, so no one would have bothered clocking it. But also means that that axle, bearing, crown wheel, pinion, all the rest of it should be fine. Yeah, so I'll let that drain. Then I can pull the, well, I'll remove the drums, remove the half shafts, start getting ready to swap seals. I might try and pull that seal out as well. The new one hasn't arrived yet, but that needs to come out. To remove the half shafts, I have to undo these bolts. There's 4 of them, which you can access through these cutaways here. Annoyingly, I painted them with Jotun when I was doing the brakes on the car, which is dumb because now they're going to be a little bit more reluctant to come off than they otherwise would have been. On the back side, you've got these nuts. Basically, once they're undone, you can try and drift the half shaft out of the axle. That's always the fun bit, but we'll worry about the bolts first. Much to my surprise, first one came off really easily. Just see it there. Try next one. I absolutely do not want to round these because that would be a whole world of hurt. So I'm setting the socket in place with a hammer. It's just about goes on if I'm careful. Again, two-handed job. That came apart rather well. Next, I need to pull that hub off, or the half shaft out. So I've picked up an old drum, not one of the 2 from the actual car because they're quite good. Put that on here. Got some shitty old wheel nuts. They will go on, and then I've got that hammer, and then somewhere I've got my nylon shock hammer. So it's nylon, but inside, you can hear it rattle. It's got beads in it, so it's not very heavy, but it has a lot of inertia when it hits things. And it's soft faced, so it should work quite nicely. So I'll put these on. I did have 5. Yes, I did have 5. There we are. And then I'll try and drift that out. Walloping time. This could be a disaster because as I smack it, it might just knock the axle stands over, but we shall give it a go. So we've chopped the back plate off. It's mounting, but we haven't actually moved the half shaft. Again, two-handed job, methinks. And we are separated. So there you can see what I can see. The wheel bearing. That has its own seal there. That's not the one I'm interested in. I'm interested in the one back up in there. So up in here you have a lip seal. Can you see that? In there. So that one's pulling out and replacing with a new one. We'll do that the same side, and then that just prevents any oil leaks going into the back plate area. And I'll have to clean all of this mounting face up again there. Not going to disturb anything else, not going to unseat the bearing races. I'm going to try and keep that nice and protected. Ideally the back plate would have stayed mounted. I walloped that bit instead of the drum, which was an error on my part, but so long as I get all the crap out of that, we should be golden. These are the new seals, genuine Rover Unipart. We need to get the old one out. Levery screwdriver won't quite do it because it's so deeply recessed. So I can put pressure on it, but it doesn't want to move it. So I'm going to try it and poke. This is actually the battery clamp. It does have a hooky thing on the end. So I'll try and get that in there and just tug it out. Yippee! Super duper! So that is how we shall proceed. Just double check that that is, yeah, that'll do, close enough. Right, so that'll go back in there. I'll put a bit of grease on that. I'll put a bit more axle grease on here, and then I'll clean this up with a bit of tissue in there. Bolt it all back together again. Easy. Got the new seal balanced in, and this is a 36mm socket, which is just about the right diameter. We'll put it in there, and then I'll tap it home. Right, all of that is cleaned up. I've put a bit of oil on the seal. That's the back plate mating face all cleaned up. Can't really do the inside one because I don't want to get in and disturb the drums, but I know that that came off there, so it should be all right. That one I've cleaned up, and I've also tried to remove as much crappy scaly rust off there as I can. So it's reassembly time. So this goes back on that way round. Again, forgive me, it's a two-handed job. I'm not prepared, but you get the idea. It goes like so. These half shafts are surprisingly heavy. I guess they have to be to take the torque. You don't want them snapping. I believe race cars do regularly snap half shafts, or they just rape the splines off the ends of the half shafts on the inboard. So that can now be offered up and posted through very carefully. Definitely a two-handed job because I don't want to damage my new seal. That's one side done. I just slid that back through, did the bolts up with the impact gun and an extension. I won't be able to torque them up yet. I'll have to do that when this is more rigidly mounted, because me pushing on the torque wrench is just gonna want to rotate the axle. So I'll probably wait till it's back in the car and have to remind myself to do that. Put a note somewhere. Yes, that side to do, and remove the pinion seal. That's all easy stuff. The pinion seal might be a dick. I might record doing that, I might not, depends how it goes. Right, done that end now. Time to try and remove that seal so I can fit a new one. New one hasn't arrived, but I thought I might as well get this out of the way. My intention is to very carefully drill a hole through about there and do it in several locations, and then I can get self-tapping screws in and pull it out. This doesn't always go brilliantly well because if the drill bit slips off the metal that's embedded in there, it can go into the steel housing and ruin that. If it goes that way, it's even worse. It can wreck the shaft, and then doesn't matter what seal you put in there, it will never seal. So I want to err on the side of caution, and if it deflects off, go this way rather than that way. And I'm also going to do the top rather than the bottom, again because I don't, you know, there's more chance of it leaking out the bottom than there is the top. So let's give it a go. Could really do with a longer drill bit as well. So through the rubber now, and I can feel the metal behind. This is when it generally deflects off, like that is trying to do now. Oh, yeah, we go. Oh, dearie me, that's nearly a disaster. I've been laughed at by the woodpecker. There we go, right. That's perfect. So I've not deflected off either side, I've gone through the right bit. Time to try and find a suitable self-tapping screw and yoink it out. It might take a while to find one. I always start smaller than I think I'm going to need, because I can always drill the hole out bigger and go with a bigger self-tapper. Screw is inserted. Let me try and pull it out. This might be a pliers job. What do I do with those? There they are. Yeah. No. We might have to, oh yeah, it has moved it slightly, but basically we're going to have to repeat that process several times around, yank it out. But you get the idea. Worked better than expected. Didn't actually have to drill another hole. I just had to put a bigger screw through the same hole. But that's excellent, because the screw didn't touch either of the bearing surfaces. So the shaft surface is fine and the housing is fine. I just need to wait for the new one to arrive, and then I can put that back together. There isn't a lot more I can do. I can't be bothered to clean up the rest of that tonight. I'm going to stop, probably get some fish and chips.